Hello everyone and welcome back to Phlox'em. We're here with another special presentation of the Keyforge Team League. Now, unfortunately, this is one of the matches that was recorded for round 5 that no one ever really got around to actually getting casted. So we're going back to grab this. There might be one or two more of these that we go back for, especially some of the top cut ones. But because this is one of the ones that was the actual feature match round, we want to make sure we got this one for sure. So this is going to be between a French Keys and the Regrettable Meatybears team, the Archon match. I believe the other two matches are already recorded. We can go check that out. But the Archon match between Lestot and Mark H. So should be a good one. Again, we kind of know how things shook out later in the season after this, but we do want to take a look at these decks and this matchup, and we'll go from there. So let's take a look at these decks. On Mark H's side, we have this deck. I actually put this into Google Translate, and I think it's called Red Baron. So the Red Baron deck, this is a Mass Mutation, Logo Shadows, Star Alliance, Quixxle Stone deck. This is kind of a pretty quintessential Quixxle style deck where it has only 13 creatures, lots of actions, plenty of raw amber with 17 raw pips. There's also a decent creature control here with the Particle Sweep, Contrino Flux, Subdue, and then also the Entropic Swirls here, which are going to do creature control and gain you some amber. Some amber control as well with the Bonidings, the Safe House combo. It'll be interesting to see. I haven't seen Mark really play this deck before, so we'll see if this is actually played more as a Quixxle Stone deck, or big thing is if you can find it with this amount of Logos efficiency, should be able to, but we'll see how that goes. Other notable things, there's a lot of upgrades as well. So if you do just throw something like the Away Team down on the board with the Quixxle Stone down, you can really load it up with some of these upgrades as well, just to kind of get more value out of it. Same with the Opportunists. But you do have some valuable creatures in here as well. So we'll see. We'll see which way he goes. Also has the autoencoder, which is again a very fantastic complement to the Quixxle Stone. So cool deck, lots of value, no artifact control, decent creature control, lots of amber. Probably going to be a pretty quick deck, both efficiency wise and amber generation wise. So this is Mark H's deck, and then for Lestot we have Heroine Verbatim Russo. This is going to be a Grim Reminders Synchronizer TikTok deck. I'm excited to see this one in action. I think these are really interesting. There's a lot of solitaire-ness to Geistoid in this set. I think the clock cycle is kind of the cool way to do it, where there are ways you can kind of interact with it a little bit more. It does require a little bit more setup, and there are certain cards you want to go along with it, like the Boo and Junk Restoration. If you don't have those, it can be a little bit trickier. But this one having the 3 TikToks and only 1 chronometer, I think is about the ideal for this. You really want few chronometers, as many TikToks as possible to really get that archiving going. Other than that, we have some sabotage missions for some amber control. We have Final Refrain with, I don't really see too much as far as fight effects that is going to make that Final Refrain really strong, but again, it's going to be a good creature control card. There's also no war chest to go with it, but double recklessness is of course going to give some of that disruption. However, with Mark H's deck having the auto encoder, that could be a little bit tricky. But as far as artifact control, so there's 2 things we're looking at on Mark's side. We've got the auto encoder and the Quixxle Stone. We do have Spontaneous Awakening, which does not turn off the Quixxle Stone, but it could steal the auto encoder, making these recklessnesses incredible value for Lestot and really, really bad for Mark. So we'll see if Mark ends up even playing the auto encoder in this matchup. Those are the 2 decks. Should be really interesting. This one is a lot more creature heavy, and TikToks especially are not going to want to see that Quixxle Stone on the board. But there's a chance that this kind of out disrupts it, out races it. Also going to be a lot of amber pips, only 1 less than the other deck. So lots of natural amber there. And then again, some of the disruption coming from that Barabnar, and really even the Boo and BR Geist are things that you could use against that Mass Mutation deck. Boo hitting, or BR Geist hitting those Bonidings. Boo maybe just milling Mark so that the try and get those artifacts out of the way, make it harder to get the Quixxle Stone down. So let's get into the match now, and we will see how this goes. All right, so we are here with game one. We've got MarkH on the bottom, who actually did the recording of this. Lestot is on the top. Again, Mass Mutation versus Grim Reminders. Apologies on the sort of sizing on the screen here. This was, again, not recorded by me, so it's kind of a little bit different than my normal setup, but we should be able to get the gist of what is going on. I'm going to change the size of this hand block just a little bit more. Make sure we have a good look at the screen here, and we'll see how this goes. So we've got Lestot with turn one here. And the Grim Reminder deck probably going to be looking to just get some of those recklessnesses going off super fast here. We have a Ornar Skullface to start with. MarkH going into Logos right away, getting some efficiency going. Again, we can see kind of a little bit of what's going on here. Maybe I should move that a little bit more. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Having a little bit of hand information isn't the worst. We do have a down to size on the Titan Engineer. We're going to see that get fought off by the Ornar Skullface, and then it's two more Brobnar creatures. So a big kind of difficult to move board already down for Lestot. Going to be getting some good value out of that. Mark is going to play the upgrade, the capture upgrade, the Opportunist right onto the Skullface there. So it is going to capture one of his own Amber, and then a Dark Wave to do some damage there on those creatures. Mark, again, probably just going to be looking for some ways to deal with these. We do see the Junk Restoration, grabbing the Shock Herder instead of the Recklessness from Lestot. Kind of an interesting choice there when you have this Brobnar board. I feel like that Recklessness can probably do a lot, but again, maybe trying to just be safe and not, in case Mark drops the autoencoder next turn, you probably want to see that gone. And we do see, okay, so this is what I kind of thought. We do see Lestot hitting Mark for the boo instead of himself. Again, because it's recorded, can't go see all that was hit by that, but that is going to be 10 cards gone for Mark. We do see the one of the Securo droids on top there. Also, we have that Ancestral Timekeeper down with one time counter on it. And this is, again, going to be a lot of creatures for Mark to try and deal with. We kind of need some of that Starline stuff, that Red Alert or that Quintrino Warp, I believe it was, coming in to deal with that. Lestot going back into Geistoid, getting the Synchronizer down. So again, Mark not having any artifact control, that is probably going to fire sometime in this game. Those TikToks can get counters on that really fast, but Synchronizer is also really good just for getting those TikToks to fire, even if you don't have the full lineup of them. So gonna see some archiving happening really fast here. Ancestral Timekeeper is just slowly counting up. Mark having a quick turn there just to do a lot of archiving, getting the Eclectic Inquiries going. So 6 cards in archives now, but we have not seen what those are yet. We might have. He's clicking fast. Mark is playing pretty fast. Both players playing pretty fast. But we do have the Brobnar turn here from Lestot. And there's the archives. Looks like mostly shadows. Again, not the stuff that we're looking for. We do see that Quixxle Stone and Safe House got discarded by the boo in that quick discard there. And we just saw the second Recklessness go, so Mark might have missed that while he's looking through things, but his hand got changed up there, and a quick 8 Amber check for Lestot on this one. Along with that Timekeeper just continuing to count up. We do see the Red Alert, which is going to clear a good chunk of this, but kind of awkward with the blast shielding, because you don't really want to put that on something unless you know you can kill it here, which I guess if you just put it on the Shock Herder, you're going to be okay. Oh, well, maybe not. You need to be careful with that because it will move. Okay, and we do get the extra ping on the Timekeeper there just to remove the armor, because I don't think that was going to be enough damage to kill it on its own, but we do see a board clear, and Mark going to check at 7. Lestot getting the first key there, and already on 2 Amber. We do see a ton of, I think that was our archives there, so maybe Mark was looking at the draw pile before, but it looked like a lot of logos in that archives, including that autoencoder, but you got to think for Mark until that um, Spontaneous Awakening is gone, you don't necessarily want to play that autoencoder. And both of the recklessnesses are gone too now, so the autoencoder isn't necessarily giving you as much value, especially until you have the Quixxle Stone down. Okay, so standard Starline's turn here. We do see Rhea coming down just as a creature on the board, but we do have the Ancestral Timekeeper coming back from the Retro Technician Lee, so just going to keep the pressure on of possibly getting that free turn. We've already seen a decent chunk of Mark's. Well, we've seen all of the board clears go because of that boo. There's nothing left unless there's something in archives for Mark to use. Yeah, we can see in archives there's a lot of logos, but nothing that's going to deal with that timekeeper. So that's just going to keep counting up, and you got to think Listo is going to have that more of those Geistoid cards coming out soon. Maybe some of the TikToks. Mark is going logos, taking the archives here. Gonna just get some value. Yeah, nothing in the draw pile for that left logic to hit. We do take out the Lee with the Entropic Swirl. Plays the autoencoder. So a little bit risky there. I again can't check the discard for Lestot, so I don't know if that Spontaneous Awakening is gone or not. But we do see a Geistoid Call here. Both TikToks coming to all three TikToks coming down. So this is going to be a huge archiving turn for Lestot. Going to be able to fire at least 2 of these, I believe. So I have to go through the math. Timekeeper goes first. They're all at 1. You could Synchronizer a second one to get that one all the way up. Fire that one. That would put the next one at 2, and then that one fires at 3, and last one fires at 4. So you could use all of them. We're going to see Bo Nithing getting BR Geisted to get a steal as well. So Lesto getting up to 6 here, and Mark not having much to stop that except for the Opportunist. Yep, and so we do see the 2 counters from the Synchronizer going on the TikTok. Lesto playing pretty fast, so seems pretty practiced with this deck, I would say, in terms of the sequencing of these clock creatures can get really awkward, especially on TCO. Yeah, and so we're going to see all of those firing, which is going to end up being 9 cards archived, and then lot of counters going on to Timekeeper, and now we have the 6 counters back onto Synchronizer. So we are going to have a free turn firing possibly next turn, unless Mark can deal with that, which would have to take even a Logos turn doesn't do it. So I think Mark's just going to have to deal with that. Just going to check at 6 though, so Mark is going to be able to take Listo off check here. Going to get a steal and this Opportunist. See where that Opportunist goes. It's tempting to put it on the Odd Clod, but we'll see. Random discard discards the Chronometer, so the last clock creature there is at least going to slow down just slightly how much value is coming off of those clock creatures, but I got the feeling this engine is going. We can't see what all was archived by Lesto here, but let's see. We'll see if we can see it under Mark's cards. Overlay. Oh yeah, it's too late. So we could go back and try and take a look at that, but we'll probably see most of it soon enough. Okay, so Mark getting to check there, pretty important, because I don't remember if there's any Amber control in. Oh, we do have the Dark Lamp, so we probably will see Mark getting taken off check here by the Dark Lamp capture. Snippy coming down just for the 2 damage, going to take out that Reckless Rizzo. No use, or no point in discarding it there to kill a 1 power creature. We do see the clocks coming back down. So obviously Listo taking the Geistoid creatures or cards on the archives. We are going to see Ancestral Timekeeper get bumped up to 11 counters there. So going to get the free turn after this turn, which is brutal because Listo is definitely going to be able to get to, well, let's see. Yeah, he should be able to get to check here with the actions that are also coming in from the archiving should be a Junk Restoration and probably the Boo and maybe the BR Geist. BR Geist doesn't have... Oh, BR Geist is gone already. Oh, plays the Chronometer with the BR Geist. Okay, so gonna get some purging going too. So gonna see if we can purge. I bet try and purge the... does Chronometer only purge creatures? I don't remember. But this is going to be, yeah, free turn for Lestot and tons of archiving here. Probably just going to run back essentially the exact same turn. Not going to be able to get the reaping. So that's what's kind of interesting about this setup is you get this huge board of creatures, but then it kind of destroys itself as all of these things trigger. So you don't really sit there and reap with all of them as much as just get this archiving of the actions. And that's why the actions are so important for the clock creatures to have to archive. Junk Restoration especially is very, very solid there. Okay, so Lestot starting turn 2 here. We did get the free key. We do still have one TikTok on the board, so deciding to keep one of those just so going to be able to reap, but instead goes Star Alliance. So not as much value from the Geistoid here. We do see the Ray coming down with an upgrade. We have Lee coming back, bringing back one of the TikToks, which is going to get procced again here because of the chronometer or synchronizer. Sabotage mission, going to increase the key cost as well for Mark, but not a huge deal because Mark is only at 5 amber. A couple more upgrades, prototype harness going on Lee, and then Essence Entangler moving some of these amber, captured amber over to Mark's side. So you can see Mark probably thinking on game 2 already, just really, really needs that Quixxle Stone down early to just slow down this kind of flood game plan of Lestot's here. But I don't think Mark has anything. Mark has the Effervescent Principle in the deck, so have to pull that off of the Lethalogica. And we do not, so now you have a draw with... Ooh, okay. Decides not to go for the draw with Quixxle the Adventurer. Calls it a GG there. So, game 1 going to Lestot. And we'll get into the rematch. Mark wanting to go first again just to try and dig as much as possible for that Quixxle Stone. Playing that turn 1 would be very, very huge. Still not seeing it. God, I think it's frustrating. Oh, and doesn't look like Lestot has made it back into this game yet. So gonna be a quick glitch here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So now we're back in the game. And on this one, Mark does find the Quixxle Stone. So a little bit of luck on his side there. Just from TCO doing its random booting of people on rematches, which happens. Like that's how it goes. Kind of had a free shot there, but we do see the Quixxle Stone come down turn 1, as well as the Synchrometer and Synchronizer. I can't read it on this. Everything's too small. Synchronizer and the TikTok coming down for Lestot. So going to be some value for Lestot, but not nearly as much as last game with that Quixxle Stone down. We see the Spontaneous Awakening getting played for Amber again. That does not shut the Quixxle Stone down, so can imagine this will be a pretty different game. Junk Restoration is going to be looking for some stuff. We're going to see Rhea brought into hand. That's going to allow some extra use out of what limited creatures you have from Lestot's board, but we can see the pips on Mark's deck are going to start taking effect. I didn't see what the discard was there. Looks like Memorialize the Fallen. Okay, so going to remove some Amber Control. Discards the Subtle Auto. Okay, so not even wanting to put one more creature on the board for a random discard. And now that the Spontaneous Awakening is gone, that Auto Encoder is going to be much safer to get on the board. So this will probably be a pretty different game than what we saw so far. One Recklessness we saw there is also gone from Lestot's deck. We get the Staff Sergeant Rhea getting a reap off of the TikTok, and then a Sabotage Mission, which is not going to do anything because the TikTok is dying. But we are getting some archiving off of that TikTok. So this is going to be probably just grabbing as many actions as possible, try and filter through the deck, get back to that Spontaneous Awakening, and really just find Amber Pips to try and outrace what Mark is doing here. Could also have gone for the Memorialize just to try and have an answer, especially if you get the key through here. Being able to blow up a lot of the Amber on Mark's side could be really, really strong here. Because all those creatures, again, aren't getting played, they're just getting discarded. But we are going to see the away team get played here, which makes sense. Going to get, going to get destroyed anyways. But we do archive the blast shielding, which is basically going to be kind of another extra amber when you get to play that again, or when you play Star Alliance again. So, Lestot has to answer 7 amber here for check at key 1 from Mark. Going to depend on what was archived, but gotta think you want to just start kind of erasing here more than necessarily answering. You can kind of always get that. Well, you can maybe get it back later. There is not an in here somewhere in Lestot's deck, so most of the archiving is coming from those TikToks. First real pause we've had in these games. Really trying to think through how do you win this if you're Lestot now that the Quixxle Stone is down, especially this early. It's going to look a little bit different than last game for sure. How do you adapt to that? Is it worth answering the key here? Do you even have a way to answer it? Okay, so we see Star Alliance called, so my guess is a decent amount of the Star Alliance was... Oh, nope. Just the Lee and Sabotage Mission, so just taxing for 1 there. With Sabotage Mission, Lee not even coming in ready because you're not haunted yet, and not really able to do anything anyways because you can't play more creatures. So we're going to see... Yep. Interesting, Mark not taking the time to get that autoencoder down, knowing that you're going to be discarding so many of those Shadows creatures and everything, but we'll have to think next turn here with the 4 Logos cards. That'll be happening. All the while, Lestot is really digging through their deck. Again, if I'm them, I'm trying to get back to that Spontaneous Awakening, which you get here. You could just archive it here as well. And again, not being able to see what is archived. We've got Sabotage Mission, Rhea, and TikTok. So just kind of going back into that Star Alliance game plan of being able to use that Rhea to ready and reap with whatever you're putting down. It's pretty strong, but I'd be really tempted to get that Spontaneous Awakening now that Mark is haunted. You're going to be haunted soon. You could really do some damage with that autoencoder. But if we see this discard here, I guess Mark is just discarding the autoencoder. So just not worth giving that value to Lestot here, even though it's in the discard. I mean, that's probably a better choice. I don't know if Mark has practiced this matchup. That kind of seems like a decision you only make after seeing how it plays out the other way. But just not going to risk it at all. Okay, we see some Barabnar creatures getting discarded, a Berserker Slam for no value, just 1 Amber Pip, and then we've got the Mournful Barnburner coming down. I have an awkward hand for Mark here. Just going to start playing a bunch of upgrades on his opponent's creatures to get that Amber. Still not getting to check, so both of these decks having, what, 17 and 16 pips, they're still not moving super fast as far as the Amber generation. Just, again, not really having the creatures to do what you're really hoping for. Mark is looking like going to have a pretty big turn next turn, though, with the Double Eclectic and the Entropic Swirl. Lestot probably getting to check here, and Mark probably not going to answer that. Just going to be going with their own game plan, but this archiving will be pretty big for kind of closing out this game. We did see the Safe House is in that last 5, did not get discarded by Into the Warp. once that safe house is down, we'll probably start cycling those Bonithings, and that just gets really hard to deal with every turn when you're not really doing anything else as far as creatures. Only one trait on the sad Mournful Barnburner, so only one amber off of the Entropic Swirl, but that is going to be check for Mark and key 2 for Lestot. Still going back into Star Alliance here. We know the Rhea is gone, so I kind of wonder more sabotage missions. Okay, so that is going to actually tax for the full 8. So not too bad there. Just kind of keep off as much of that amber as possible, but we are kind of feel like if you play the, I guess safe house is maybe a lot safer than giving Lestot the autoencoder. Yep, and we're going to see that Bonithing come down, and then you're going to Dark Wave it off the board. It's really tempting to try and leave it there, to try and safe house it next turn, but just not wanting to veer from the game plan at all. You do have 2 of them in deck, so you know you'll find them soon, but 1 is in discard and you did just reshuffle, so there's only 1 left to find, but 1 is really all you need with the safe house. Okay, so there's another discarded Rhea into the warp coming out. Oh no. Never mind, that's an older turn. I can't see the log here. Mark has not scrolled. We're going to do a final refrain, which gives you, yeah, so a Reap on the Barn Burner. Final refrain here, I don't think gives you hardly anything. There's no real destroyed effects either that I can think of. Yeah, so these will all just die. There's nothing to fight. They can't sit there and reap. Final Refrain is just an interesting card, and may I say, such a pain to resolve on TCO. But it is a very fun card. You can do some funny things with it, and Mark agrees. It's just kind of hilarious. Bring all of them back just so they can sit there, do nothing, and blow up. So we have 5. This might be a key cheat from Mark here. We have 5 houses represented on board. Of the 5 total, discard, discard, we'll get the amber off the particle sweep. And Forging Alliance is +7, so that would have been off by 1 amber. Because you would go to 7, reduce by 5, you'd need 8 amber. Is that right? I'm second guessing my math. It's gotta be. But this is actually a pretty tight spot for Mark. No more amber pips drawn for the Star Alliance. You have kind of awkward cards from the shadows here. No amber control except for the Opportunist, but no creatures to play that on. And Tempting Offer is actually going to give Lestot an amber if you play it. Okay, but Lestot has no answer there. We get the GGs, and we're on to game 3. So, again, pretty swingy match, just still close. We can see Lestot's deck still has things it can do against that Quixxle Stone, but the Quixxle Stone coming down early is really what Mark's deck is needing for this matchup. We do see they're both in here. Lestot agreeing, very different matchup that time compared to the last one. Mark not getting first turn here and unable to find the Quixxle Stone, which I am cheating and seeing because I can see the hand and you can't. But still going to be playing kind of similarly. Getting that safe house down is big, but again, with Spontaneous Awakening, might get a little bit scary. If you can, trying to think if there's anything in Lestot's deck that you really want to get the play effect for and then bounce back. Honestly, the pips on that Ancestral Timekeeper are tempting, but we already have 1 TikTok going, and TikTok is crazy because it can also archive from hand, so no need to pull stuff from a small discard there. Only archives itself though, so not wanting to archive anything from hand. Mark getting the Logos efficiency going, getting the Entropic Swirl, and a subtle auto in the archives from that Eclectic. We see some Brobnar getting discarded to deal damage. Ornar coming down with... Okay, and then the Recklessness has the damage pip to deal with the rest. And then a Berserker Slam on the Titan. Not able to kill it there, so no value on that. But the Recklessness can definitely hurt. We see BR Geist, Sabotage Mission, and Survey discarded from Lestot. And Vandalize, Away Team, and Particle Sweep. So what was going to be a pretty solid Star Alliance turn, now going instead for the Shadows turn. So getting that subtle auto cycling to be able to get those random discards is not a bad plan. We're going to have the Reckless Rizzo down too. So not a bad pressure here from Mark, actually using the creatures this time to get some value going. We are going to see the Boo hitting Mark. Let's see. Autoencoder's gone. No Quixxle Stone, though, but the Effervescent Principle is gone. So Quixxle Stone's still in the game. We do see the Spontaneous Awakening hit the safe house, which would be a big deal because that's probably never going to leave now. But Mark just had the Autoencoder discarded, so not going to be able to play that anyways until you recycle. And Lestot going to get the TikToks, all getting value here. So just going to start that archiving train. We already see some of those. Let's see, do we see what gets purged? Okay, purge is one of the bone things with the chronometer. TikTok, first one gets TikTok, chronometer, and junk restoration. Second one is going to get BR Geist and Sabotage Mission along with itself. So lots of Geistoid in there. We're going to get a stun on the Timekeeper, but I think that one is pretty much firing. Well, I guess we don't have the Synchronizer down yet. But that doesn't matter. Yeah, I think the chronometer probably firing next turn here. We are getting lots more value from this Star Alliance. This is still not going to forge a key on that Forging an Alliance, but we do have a scarier board here. Decision not to go into Shadows to use the Reckless Rizzo wouldn't have stopped the key. We do see the Quixxle Stone in hand now. Oh, sorry. Again, you don't see that. But with only 3 cards left, we can reasonably assume that Mark has the Quixxle Stone now, but it might just be too late. We've seen the power of these TikToks, and especially being able to buy that second free turn, which should be happening here. With all of this amber you can generate from it, with the Junk Restoration, the Boo, and the BR Geist. Reckless Rizzo gets destroyed by the Snippy, just like it did last time in game 1. We're going to BR Geist. There's no Bone Ithing to hit this time, and Mark being on 6 amber anyways doesn't really matter. Interesting to see what would get hit here. There's actually a lot of cards that Mark doesn't want to get BR Geisted. There's a lot of value play effects on his creatures. Instead, just going to go for the Rhea. Rhea just having plenty of value on the board. And we will ready up, and we will see turn 2, free turn coming in from the Timekeeper. Got our first TikTok going. Again, this is just a lot of triggers to resolve, but it creates some crazy value. Sabotage Mission, Survey, and TikTok. So again, just getting more of that Star Alliance value for Amber Control and filtering and just raw pips in case that Quixxle Stone comes down with some of the board clears from Star Alliance. Choosing to keep a decent amount of them on the board, though, just with the sequencing, probably means Lestot is going back into Geistoid here. Yeah, and that's what we see. So for turn number 2 off the Ancestral Timekeeper. We're going back into Geistoid, gonna get some reaps here. We see the Synchronizer come down. Doesn't really matter too much at this point. Gonna reap across the board. Getting to check, and it is check at 7 because of the Titan Engineer, so Mark is actually not going to be forging this turn regardless. And that is it for Lestot's turn 2. So kind of interesting using that free turn just to reap with 4 creatures and not really play anything else. You still have 6 cards in archives, but again, most of those are the... It's kind of a mix. There's a lot of Geistoid and a lot of Star Alliance. Surprised Lestot didn't grab all of those there. That was an interesting turn. I kind of wonder what the thought process is there of not pulling all of those, because you do have some good Geistoid, even just Amber Pips, but maybe you're worried, well, no, you know the Effervescent Principle is in discard already, so not sure what you're too worried about there in terms of bursting really high, but maybe just really wants to keep the hand moving. Off of the last TikTok, we got Chief Engineer Walls, TikTok, and Chronometer Archive. So you basically have almost, you have a good chunk of both of those houses, Star Alliance and Geistoid, in archives. Mark trying to figure out what way to go here. See a mixed board, could go pretty much any house board-wise. Let's see what's in the draw. Also a mixed draw, so kind of a rough as far as the efficiency goes for Mark H here, but double checking those elusives and things. Goes Logos. So see the Logica. Just gonna grab Mutagenic Serum and still leave 1 card left in draw. So we are gonna be reshuffling here. And yeah, we're gonna see the Entropic Swirl hitting the Dark Lamp as the only thing that actually has 2 traits. Yeah. Deciding to tax yourself and also tax Lestot's second key there at 7 instead of 6. Could have fought with the Titan mechanic or engineer, but decided to just keep it. Still no Quixxle Stone down though. At this point, again, with both players having decent boards, it's not hugely impactful. We know at least one of Mark's creature control cards is Red Alert, which is not going to be able to clear Lestot's side of the board, so maybe just waiting until something happens. But Lestot, I don't think, really has much of a true board clear. I'd have to go back and look at that. It's a lot of fighting and stuff from the Brobnar, and then the discard effects from Snippy and everything. So we do see the Star Alliance call here. Almost wouldn't be surprised if we see the Snippy get safe housed. Got Lee coming down, getting value because of the being haunted, bringing back the Dark Lamp. With Sabotage Missions, we might actually see keys getting stopped here. We do see a discard Essence Entangler to move that Amber from the Dark Lamp to one of Mark H's creatures. So effectively a long-term steal. Walls is going to get that Essence Entangler back and possibly play it this time just to weaken one of those creatures. Yeah, getting it on the Quixxle, putting it down to 2 power and getting the extra Amber off of that. We're going to see Rhea Reap and then the Snippy Reap. So Sabotage Mission also going to be 2 Sabotage Missions, making Mark's key very expensive here. And Lestot is already up to 8 Amber, and we can see on Mark's side, it's going to be tricky. We did get a reshuffle on Mark's side, so we're going to have at least 1 bow left and the Effervescent Principle in play. But Mark not forging there is pretty brutal. Okay, so we see a Star Alliance call. This is a tough turn. I think you have to stop the key. Calling Star Alliance must have something to get next to Titan. Pretty sad red alert there. Looks like a Quintrino Flux. Okay. So we do see the turn end. Mark is able to take him off check with the Bone Knithing off of the subject Kirby and then placing it next to the Titan Engineer, making keys cost 7. Mark is on 16 Amber, but still no key. See a fast Geistoid call here from Lestot. Gonna do some fighting. Might have a damage pip coming. And the clocks come back out. Again, there was a big archive of, I think, at least 6 cards. Archive, maybe we're at 9 now. Junk Restoration, finding those sabotage missions again. Those sabotage missions actually doing lots of work in this game. I haven't seen that card do get a whole lot of value in too many matches, but in this deck, definitely playing a big part in just keeping Mark from really getting momentum. All right, Lestot is up at 9 Amber. We are going to get some archiving here coming from the TikToks. Mark is going to forge. Nothing stopping that finally. Let's see if he can answer 9 Amber. Get a Logos call, so maybe that means Effervescent. We do have the Mutagenic Serum here as well, so going to be able to at least use the subject Kirby. He wants to try and get some other creatures down. Quixxle is going to fight and kill the Rhea. Get a draw. See an Entropic Swirl. Reap with Kirby. Kirby cannot play Secure Droid. That is going to be game. So, Quixxle Stone came down late again, but lots of pressure early from Lestot and those clocks. Good match. Very interesting to see how it works, really based on whether that Quixxle Stone kind of comes out or not. But again, a really interesting strategy to boo Mark's deck to try and get that Quixxle Stone out of the way for at least a turn. Worked game 1. Game 2, Mark was able to find it early. And then game 3 just was again lower towards the bottom there. But a really, really interesting use of kind of both of these two houses. The Brobnar kind of just being there for some creature control and stuff. But being able to kind of archive both the TikToks with some of these actions and then also all of this Amber control. Really cool decks. So that is round 5 Archon match between Regrettable Meatybears and French Keys. Sorry. We do see AFK took that one 2-1 in the end, but did not quite make to the playoffs. So that is the Keyforge Team League. Again, as a reminder, next season is happening soon. Get your teams put together and get in this. This is an awesome, awesome league. I'm so excited that they started this. I'm loving getting to cast this. I might be playing next round. We'll see. But highly, highly recommend you get into this league and play these awesome matchups. I love these formats, or kind of the mix of formats that we're getting to see, and it all being a team effort is awesome. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Phlox'em.